Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Carleton's Open House for Fall 2021. My name is Brian Cousins. I'm the chair of the Earth Sciences Department here at Carleton University. I'm joined by Caitlin DeMori Van Leer, who is an undergraduate student in our department, and also by Stephen Cook, who is the chair of the Environmental and Interdisciplinary Sciences program here at Carleton. And we're all going to be sharing approximately the next 45 minutes talking about our different programs. So we're going to start out with Earth Sciences, and then we're going to move on to the Environmental and Interdisciplinary Sciences a little bit later on in the session. So first of all, just a little bit about the department and what some of our core values are. We put a strong emphasis on our students. They are the meat and potatoes for why we are here. The department strives for excellence in teaching and research and for leadership in public outreach. That is communication with the public about what Earth Sciences is all about. We have a wide variety of programs that reflect the significance of Earth Sciences in society, the economy, and the environment. Our programs have a lot of breadth as well as depth to them, and we collaborate with a lot of other departments, including the Sprott School of Business, the Department of Economics, Geography and Northern Studies, Environmental Sciences, which you'll be hearing a lot more about later on in this session, Engineering, and we have combined programs with other science units, which I'll talk a little bit about later on in the presentation. Also very important, our honors and majors programs all provide the requirements for professional accreditation in the province of Ontario and in Canada, which is very, very important if students want to have jobs in industry or the consulting business when they graduate. Earth Sciences has a key role to play in the future of our society and our planet, and they're really nicely summarized by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is really a blueprint for what they call peace and prosperity of both people and the planet. How can the two groups, people and the planet, really manage to coexist? The key thing is that Earth Sciences plays a very critical role in many of these Sustainable Development Goals, 7 in all, including things like clean water, affordable energy, infrastructure and innovation, sustainable cities, sustainable consumption and production of resources, climate action, and life in the oceans. But there's also other roles for Earth Sciences in these Sustainable Development Goals. These include evaluation of geohazards, things like earthquakes, landslides, volcanic eruptions, all of which we include in our program here at Carleton, both in terms of teaching and research. Agrogeology or agriculture, geotourism, and geoeducation, which are both major parts of our outreach program here at Carleton. And the key point that the United Nations wants to make is that not only do educators, researchers, and industry professionals and all kinds of other policymakers have a role to play, but Earth Science students also have a major role to play in achieving these Sustainable Development Goals. So these are all embedded in our teaching and our research in the Earth Sciences Department at Carleton University. Well, a little bit about our programs. We have a 4-year BSc honors program, but we also have an honors program with concentrations. And these concentrations include finance, resource valuation, resource economics, vertebrate paleontology and paleoecology, and geophysics. And those latter 2 concentrations are amongst the most popular of the programs that we offer. We also offer combined honors programs with physical geography, biology, and chemistry, and some of our very best students come out of those programs. We have a 4-year BSc major, and the difference between the honors and the majors programs is the honors students commonly get more into the research aspect of Earth Sciences. Major students can as well, but they don't necessarily have to. We also have a 3-year BSc program. We have a minor in business for our BSc honors and major students, since many of them would like to get that business experience. And then we also have a minor in Earth Sciences for non-Earth Sciences students. What are some of the advantages of Earth Sciences at Carleton? Well, first of all, we have a significant number of endowments which provide financial aid to students in the form of scholarships when they come into the program. We also have some 4-year scholarships that go to students with really great academic backgrounds. But we also have endowments that provide research support for undergraduate students for working in laboratories and paying for costs of those analyses. Our undergraduate students commonly find summer jobs either with government or industry agencies. We live in Ottawa. It's the Ottawa advantage. There's many, many government agencies as well as industry offices that we find here in the city. And there are opportunities for students to get jobs as well as undertake research projects with those various organizations. We also have a co-op program. Once our students graduate, there are lots of employment opportunities in the mining, petroleum, and the environmental earth science fields. And our honor students are well prepared to move on to go to graduate school. Our department is really known for its experiential learning opportunities. We have almost all of our courses involve laboratories as well as lectures. We offer several different field courses in second year, third year, and fourth year. And in the first year class, you also get a field trip to the Ottawa area to learn more about the geology of the Ottawa region. But the creme de la creme is certainly our fourth year field course. It goes to different places every year, depending on which professor is teaching it. On the left is a list of various places that we've taken students to over the last several years. We've been to Iceland twice, Italy, Germany twice, Western USA 2 or 3 times. Some of our recent trips have been to the Swiss Alps in the late summer of 2016, to New Zealand in early 2016, and I led a trip to Morocco in 2018. And the key thing about these trips is not only do we then give our students exposure to geology in a region that is different from what they're accustomed to here in North America, but there's also the cultural aspect to visiting all of these really fascinating places. And that all works into the field courses themselves. But we not only do a lot of field work, we also do a lot of high-tech research within the department. Shown here on the right-hand slide, we have state-of-the-art petrographic microscopes with cameras that are hooked up to laptops so that students can take photographs of rock samples. The lower image shows one of our students working with a CAT scan image, of the fossils, looking at the interior of the bones, trying to evaluate what the different organs inside those bones would have looked like. On the left-hand side, we have state-of-the-art geochemistry labs, as well as mass spectrometer facilities. We also have state-of-the-art scanning electron microscopes and electron microprobe for doing chemistry. So lots and lots of opportunities for students to gain expertise in state-of-the-art research equipment within the department. As I mentioned, one of our sort of defining things in our department is outreach, communicating with the public about earth sciences. And one of the major events that we have every year is Geoheritage Day. Ottawa has been a hotbed of geological studies over the last 150 years. There are a lot of very important minerals that have been named after the localities in the Ottawa area where those were first discovered. Geoheritage Day typically involves us having students and faculty members at various locales around town. You can see by the little red balloons here, and a list of these places is shown right here. And the public can then move around from place to place and learn more about why those particular localities are important in terms of earth sciences. One of our retired faculty members, Alan Donaldson, shown down here in the right side of the lower right image, has established a geoheritage park in Elmwood with important rocks showing the geohistory of the Ottawa area, along with signage to explain why those rocks are important. And we're in the process of setting up a similar park here on campus that we are hoping is going to be established within the next year. And so there's lots of opportunities for undergraduate students to be involved in this geoheritage program. So I would like to pass the microphone off to Caitlin DeMaury Van Leer to tell you a little bit about what it's like to be an Earth Sciences student in our department.
Hi, everyone. I'm a fourth-year honors geophysics student here in the department. And I just want to tell you a bit about what it's like to be a student here in the Earth Science program. So the first thing that I feel really makes the Earth Science department stand out from other departments is our small class sizes. So in your first year, your labs for Earth Sciences are going to have about 15 students in them. And from your second year onward, your Earth Science classes are going to have an average of about 25 students. So this means that your professors can really tailor the lectures to the individual students in those classes, which makes the lectures, much easier to understand for everyone involved. And professors are also more than happy to spend extra time with you outside of class, either going over course material or helping you apply for external, say, scholarships or jobs or grants, or even just to have a chat with you. And these small class sizes also help create a really close-knit community here in the department. So not only does every teacher know you by your first name and, vice versa, but every class of students becomes very close. So I know, for instance, my year, we're basically just one big friend group. We go on, hikes together, small trips together, and we've stayed in constant contact, virtually during the pandemic as well. And to help this close community, we also have a geological society for undergraduate students here at Carleton called GeoSoc. So we run a few dozen of events every year. For instance, we just finished some rock climbing nights. We have some introductory scuba diving nights coming up here. And we also do things like study events, and we really make sure to reach out and include first and second year students because we really want them to develop this close bond with their classmates. And this close bond is also helped by our practical labs, which Brian already mentioned a bit about. And actually, that's a photo of me that you see there in our mineralogy lab. And Brian also mentioned just that there's a lot of scholarships available in Earth Sciences. And I know from my personal experience and the experience of my peers that this is very true. I know that about 50% of our students, at least in my year, have received at least one scholarship, either through Carleton or from an external geoscience organization. And a lot of these scholarships have a relatively low application rate, and they give more than one scholarship a year. So that means that you have, a pretty decent chance of getting some scholarships. And Brian also mentioned that there was a lot of opportunity for jobs in the department. And again, from my experience, that is very true. About 3/4 of my class was employed in our first year here at Carleton, either as research assistants or doing our own research in the summer. So for instance, I know myself, I will be graduating this spring with over 3 years of work experience in my field as a research assistant. And that's even before doing co-op. So if you do co-op, you'll get, even more exposure. And, all these events and the close-knit community and the job opportunities, this is great. And I love this about the department. But what really makes the Earth Science department stand out the most for me is just the passion and that everyone has for the research that they do, and just this passion the professors have for their fields really comes through in their lectures and gets you really excited about what you're learning. And it helps us as students realize that the Earth Sciences has such a wide array of disciplines that there's really something for everyone to be passionate about, from biology to physics to, if you like math, you can go into more math related modeling. And even if you don't like, biology, math, physics, chemistry, there's a whole other side to the geosciences that you can look at, which is much more applied. And so because of all these factors, I am very glad that I've, chosen the Earth Science department. And honestly, I think it rocks. So I'm going to hand it back to Brian now, but thank you.
Thanks very much, Caitlin. I think that the small class size and getting to know all the professors in the department is a really important aspect of our department. Before we finish up, I just wanted to briefly go through what a typical student's program would be if they were to join the Earth Sciences program at Carleton. And these course maps or program flowcharts are all available on our website. And I'll give you the web address in the next slide at the end of the talk. All students take 2 first-year courses, Earth 1006 in the fall and Earth 1009 in the winter. And then you will also take a group of biology, physics, chemistry, and math courses to basically finish out your first-year university requirements. So in second year, you start to take some of the basics, things like rocks and minerals in the fall, geophysics in the fall. You take igneous petrology and other courses in a second year in the winter. In the third year, lots of courses on geochronology and geochemistry, structural geology. And then in fourth year, you're open to more or less pick or choose the kinds of courses you want to take. It allows you to specialize a little bit more. Whereas second and third year, really a lot of the courses are required just to get you focused and to make sure that you have those prerequisite courses for professional registration. So thank you very much for listening to our Earth Sciences presentation. If you have questions, you can go to our website, www.earthsci.carleton.ca, or feel free to email me. I'm chair of the department, and brian.cousins@carleton.ca. So if anybody has any questions right now about the Earth Sciences program, we have some time to answer those, and you can put those into the Q&A, and I'll do my best to answer them. So I do not see any questions in the Q&A right now. So in that case, I would like to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Dr. Stephen Cook, from the Institute of Environmental and Interdisciplinary Sciences, and he will give you a rundown of those two programs. So Steve, it's all yours.
Oh, just quickly, Brian, I think we do have a question in the chat.
Oh, we do? In the chat?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Not
Yes.
supposed to be in the chat. All right. All right. What's the prerequisite grade for grade 12 chemistry to be accepted into the Earth Science courses? I am not 100% up on this. It should be in the calendar, course calendar, but I believe it's somewhere around 85% is a good grade for getting into that program. There we go. You can find all the admission requirements at admissions.carleton.ca/programs. You're welcome. Okay, I do not see anything else in either the chat or the Q&A. All right, so once again, thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and enjoy the rest of the day. And I'm passing things off to Steve Cook.
Hey folks, it's a pleasure to see all of you. My name is Stephen Cook. I'm a professor in the Institute of Environmental and Interdisciplinary Science. And those are two different programs. I'm going to talk about both of those today. So just give me a moment. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so in front of you, you should see a screen that says 2 undergrad programs. Those are the 2 that I'm going to talk about. We have an environmental science program and we have an ISAP program. And so throughout the presentation, you're going to see them described with these short forms, ENSC for environmental science and ISAP for our interdisciplinary science and practice program, which is a mouthful. So our environmental science program has been running for 30 years. So it's one of the first such programs, the longest running programs in Canada. Our ISAP program is much newer. It started in 2019, but it builds upon our previous integrated science program. So we have a history of program delivery in this area. This program is quite similar to another program you might be familiar with, the Interdisciplinary Science program at McMaster University, which is one of the most popular and competitive programs in the province. Our program is partially modeled after that, but we did a lot of consultation around the world. We spent a lot of time talking to knowledge users, decision makers, industry about what they wanted in graduates. And we use that information to build this program from the bottom up. So it's a new and exciting program. There's some common themes for environmental science and interdisciplinary science, which is why I'm going to talk about them together. So the first is that they are both applied. It's all about solving problems and making sure that the next generation of problem solvers are able to tackle the diverse and complex challenges at hand. Like Brian, I'm going to use the Sustainable Development Goals just to highlight the types of problems that are out there and how diverse they are and how complicated they are. So, if we talk about zero hunger, we need to bring together science to understand the variation in productivity that we see, production yields from year to year, and the development of new crops and environmentally friendly food items. And then we need to talk about economics and supply chains. Then we need to talk about the nutritional side of things and cultural differences and so on. So you can see how complicated these things are. But at the end of the day, there are a ton of problems in the world and we need to solve them, and we need learners who are prepared to do so. Another common theme is the idea of interdisciplinary. Okay, this is the idea that everything that we do today requires different knowledge domains to tackle them appropriately. The problems are complex, and so there's no one discipline that's able to solve those on their own. So I'm a fish biologist by training. I can tell you, I can do all the biology in the world on fish, but at the end of the day, that's insufficient. I also need to understand other things. I need to understand how humans think about fish and fisheries issues. If I come up with science that requires people to change how they fish, or some kind of regulatory change, if I don't understand what that means to people, then there's a good chance that those changes won't actually be adopted. So interdisciplinary is the idea that we need to bring together different fields, different disciplines to tackle problems and fully understand them. And that's at the core of both environmental science, which brings together biology, earth sciences, geography, chemistry, and other disciplines. And then ISAP, where you can really bring together any and all elements of the sciences and other fields across our campus. Our environmental science program is offered as both a BSc Honors and a BSc General. We have concentrations in biology, earth science, chemistry. We have minors in GIS, law, communications, economics, business, and computer science. Those are just a few. There are more. And co-op options. So we have a great co-op program, and we have students that have had recent placements with Environment Canada, various consulting firms, Ag Canada, local universities, and so on. Our ISAP program also has a BSc Honors and BSc General stream. Students do need to select one minor in science. I've shown just a few of them here. There are others like Earth Sciences and Health Sciences. And we strongly encourage that students take a second minor. It could be in the sciences, but we strongly encourage them to take programs that are outside of the sciences. So again, maybe law, economics, business, mass communication, perhaps a different language. Really, there's a lot of flexibility here for students to customize the program for it to meet their needs and interests. And of course, we have a co-op education option as well. So why choose environmental science or ISAP at Carleton? We know you have choices. There are other programs out there. We're pretty excited about ours. We're passionate about what we do. We're passionate about making sure that you have a great learning experience, and we look forward to getting to know you. So I'm going to work through a few reasons why we think you might be interested in choosing environmental science or ISAP at Carleton. First off, we have faculty who are strongly committed to teaching and mentoring. I want to acknowledge Sue Aitken in the right, who recently won a student mentoring award, given how committed she is to those endeavors. And on the left, that's me in a stream surrounded by a bunch of students pre-COVID times. We're doing stream restoration. And so this isn't just about us hiding in the classroom. And this is hands-on instruction and interaction with students. We have a broad-based curriculum that spans the sciences and beyond. So yes, you will, whether you're in environmental science or ISAP, you'll learn a lot about science broadly, not just one of the sciences, but you're also going to learn about other disciplines as well, thinking about the humanities and social sciences, engineering, and so on, so that you can, you're not going to be able to be an expert in any one of those other domains, but you'll know enough that you can communicate with those experts. And that's really important, being able to speak the same language, understand their disciplinary cultures, and work together to solve problems. Our class sizes are generally small, particularly as we move into the upper year where they get more and more focused. Yes, in first year, you do have to take some of those mega courses, things like biology, where it be you and 600 or 700 of your closest friends. But very quickly, you will get down to smaller class sizes where there's a lot of interaction with your peers and with the instructors. And I just want to give an example. In both our first year environmental science and ISAP program, we have an introductory seminar that happens in that first semester. And when you're in that class, the only students that are in it are the other students that were admitted that year. So essentially, that's the cohort that you will move through the entire program with. And that's pretty exciting. So very quickly, you get to meet your classmates, the ones that are taking the same program with you as you. You'll not be in all of the same classes, but almost all of your core ISAP or environmental science coded courses will be together. So you get to know each other very, very well. You have lots of interaction with diverse faculty that do really cool things. There's Mike Runtz. He's our naturalist. He used to be the naturalist for Algonquin Park. He's an absolute nature nut. You can see binoculars around his neck. You can routinely spot him spotting birds on campus. He does weekly bird walks. And then to the right, one of our newest hires in ISAP is Dr. Vivian Nguyen. She's an expert in knowledge mobilization, figuring out how information is or isn't used by decision makers. So when we do science, where does that knowledge go? How is it used? How is it translated? We have award-winning faculty. So to the left there, Dr. Richard Amos, who's cross-appointed between environmental science and earth sciences. And you can see him shaking hands with previous Governor General for an award he received. I happen to be recently elected to the Royal Society of Canada's College, and I actually serve as the secretary of that organization. We also have award-winning students. So Sophia Jane Schleffler, pictured to the left, she did her undergrad in environmental science, and she received the Governor General's Medal. So the top student at Carleton that year. She's now finishing up her PhD at James Cook University studying coral reef fish in Australia. And then to the right there, you can see one of our students receiving recognition for her achievement as Dean's Honors List status from Maria DeRosa, who is now the Dean of Science at Carleton University. We have a student resource room that's exclusively for our students. So I mentioned how there's a cohort that you move through the program with. You're able to use this room. This becomes sort of a focal point for students to meet and connect. And so we've got a bank of computers, a printer, a photocopier. We've got a fridge, microwave. We've got a huge TV and tons of tables and chairs and comfortable seating for students to hang out and interact between classes, find somebody to help them with that question that they're stumped on. It's where our student society gathers. And on occasion, the odd student might even sleep in there. We have a tight-knit and engaged student body in environmental science. We've got something called the Environmental Science Student Association that's been going for many years. And they do everything from campus cleanups to hikes, interacting with each other, both for professional development and just for camaraderie. ISAP, as I mentioned, is a new program, and so it's only been around for 2 years, but they're already in the process of forming a student society and are currently collaborating with the Environmental Science Student Association in the meantime. One of the things that I like to talk about is the capital advantage. There are only 2 universities located here, and that provides us with unique opportunities that we can share with our students that just aren't available to students at other institutions in this country. So almost all of our federal agencies are headquartered in the National Capital Region, and we have strong ties. In fact, the National Wildlife Research Center of Environment Canada is on our campus, okay? So a lot of the research that's done on polar bears in the north or breeding bird surveys across Canada is coordinated off of our campus by our Environment Canada colleagues. And of course, we've got the agricultural experimental farm just across the canal from us, all sorts of other opportunities. And many of the individuals that work at these organizations are what we call adjunct professors. So they get paid by their home institution, for example, Agriculture Canada, but they want to be able to have the opportunity to interact with students. And so we provide them adjunct status. That gives them the opportunity to participate in courses. And it also provides opportunity for our students to get interaction with people that are working in the trenches, that are doing science on a day-to-day basis. And this creates opportunities for thesis co-supervision and for employment. We also, this used to be something that would smack on the side of buses as one of Carleton's sort of taglines, and it was anything but textbook. And this is something that really resonates with me and with our program. It's all about hands-on experience in the lab, in the field, in the boardroom, interacting with each other, with our environment, with technology, and with stakeholders. None of our core environmental science or ISAP courses that are coded as those, require textbooks. It doesn't mean that you don't have to read. It's just we assemble what you need to read from the literature. So you're going to spend more time reading peer-reviewed literature and journal articles, maybe some newspaper articles and things like that, than what comes out of a textbook, which it can very quickly become stale. We make extensive use of place-based learning. So in other words, we go places. So here you can see some pictures of our environmental science students on some of the field courses that they participate in. For our environmental science program, we have a field course that's focused on environmental management policy and stewardship. You can see there that we go to places like we've gone to farms to talk about environmental issues. We go to City Hall. We go down to some of the big hydropower generating stations on the St. Lawrence and so on, trying to understand sort of where the rubber meets the road, talking to environmental professionals, asking them for their advice and perspectives, learning what they do, and helping to make connections for our students. We also have field courses for our ISAP students. Professor Sean Landsman, who's pictured there, is a gifted science communicator, and he's created a new science communication course that we deliver at Queen's University Biological Station, which is about an hour from Carleton. And that course involves linking science students with science communication and journalism students. And it's a 2-week course, and I don't know if you can see the cost there. I'm pointing with my pointer. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's $150 for a 2-week course. This is heavily subsidized by the university. We pay your room and board. It costs us almost $100 a day per student. And so we're trying to break down boundaries so that all students can engage in this kind of experience. So this is a really, really good example of a progressive course intended to give students really, really exceptional and unique learning opportunities. There's also opportunity to take other field courses from biology or earth science, such as the ones that Brian just described. And we have some new courses in our program in the last few years. We have a course on environmental decisions. We know that making decisions is not easy, and we need decisions to be made in ways that consider the environmental dimension. And so Joe Bennett's created a course on that. And Sue Aitken has created a course on food systems and the environment, where students are able to get out, learn about food systems. And if you think about it, we all eat every day, usually 3 meals a day, and there's major environmental issues associated with our food system. So what can we do to ensure that we're able to feed the hungry and do so in a way that minimizes damage to the environment? One of the things that students in both our programs learn to do, but particularly in our ISAP program, is to communicate with diverse audiences. ISAP really emphasizes things like science communication, understanding the science policy interface, using different forms of evidence. And so for one of the courses last year, the students worked with different professors from across the campus to understand different topics, such as the stress response, volcanic eruptions, and dark matter. And what they did is they wrote articles that were intended for school children, and they published those in a journal called Frontiers for Young Minds that's actually peer-reviewed by other students. So this is an example of a really cool opportunity for students to do things that help others and to do things that actually end up on your resume when you graduate, differentiating you from your peers from other programs and institutions. Our assignments are real and timely. We try to find real problems that our students help to solve. So to the left, there's some of our environmental science students. They were recruited by the City of Ottawa and the Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority to help create signage and messaging for outreach at the Carp Wetland Restoration Project out in Canada. And you can see some of that signage that was announced with great pomp and circumstance. The mayor was there, our students were there, and there's a whole bunch of signs throughout that facility that were created by our students. And then for ISAP, one of the courses involved had a project that involved collaborating with the Public Health Agency of Canada. And we got a big data set from them, and we did an analysis with our students to determine if the employees at that agency had the tools and training to be innovative in their jobs. And then they presented that material to directors and associate deputy ministers so that they get the opportunity to interact with those policymakers and decision makers at the end of the day. This is more resume material. This is the kind of stuff that gets you jobs when you graduate. There's opportunity to do publication quality research for your undergrad thesis. Here are just a couple examples of projects that have been done. I'll highlight one. Petra Zakaris was an undergrad student in my lab. She ended up going to the Bahamas with some of my grad students to assist them in their research. And while she was there, she did a study on the physiological and behavioral consequences of cold shock. So these rapid and sudden cold periods that sometimes hit tropical regions and what that means for fish communities. We also share our findings with peers and students, providing students the opportunity to develop posters. We have an annual poster day that you can see here. And then we also send our undergrad students to conferences. So Jen Magel, who you can see off there to the left, she went to the National Conference on Undergrad Research a couple years ago when it was in North Carolina. And her entire way was paid by Carleton University. So our undergrad students at the end of the day get jobs in a variety of different sectors. Some of them also go on to professional studies, and you can see there some of them for grad school, others working for different agencies, different organizations across Canada. I can't tell you what our ISAP students will do because none have graduated. We're only 2 years into the program, but these are the kinds of positions that we expect them to be able to hold. Things like science advisors, knowledge brokers, evidence synthesizers, science communicators, and so on. So really, really important jobs. And this is what we're seeing advertised today. We're seeing the need for students that are able to interact with humans, that can turn the science into a language that politicians and the public can understand, bringing diverse knowledge forms together, including indigenous knowledge and Western science. So this is our students will be well prepared for those kinds of tasks. So if you have any questions about environmental science or ISAP, there's my contact info. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can jump back and see you. Just give me a moment. All right, so I can see you now. I would be happy to take any questions that you have. So I'm seeing, can you major in environmental science and minor in psychology? I believe so. I don't have the list in front of me, but almost every unit has a minor available. So I'm quite sure that we can do that. Any other questions? I'm super excited about our ISAP program. I know, again, it's, what is ISAP? What I can tell you, first and foremost, is the kind of program that will give you the professional skills that employers want. And it doesn't close doors for grad school. You can certainly go on to grad school. It's also a place for folks that love the science, but don't really know which part of science they love the most. So you can jump in, sample widely, and then specialize once you've figured out what aspect of science is most interesting to you. All right, I'm looking for any other questions, looking in the chat. And I'll also, my colleagues from Earth Sciences are still here. Professor Brian Cousins and Caitlin, one of the undergrad students from that program. If you have any questions for Earth Sciences, they're still here. So if you want to show yourselves again, any questions that you'd like to direct to them again, you're more than welcome to do so. What differentiates environmental science at Carleton from the environmental science program at U of Ottawa? Okay, so a couple things. One, you are fortunate. In Ontario, we have amazing universities and amazing programs, so you cannot go wrong. Okay, so don't stress over this too much. What we really like about Carleton is that our program is adding courses. We are adding field courses, adding experiential opportunities, while our other universities are saying, wow, we could save a lot of money if we cancel those field courses. So one of the things that differentiates us from a lot of the other institutions is that we still emphasize field courses and we heavily subsidize them so that they're not only available to the wealthy students. So that's one of the biggest things. Our program is also growing. We've hired in the last 5 or 6 years, probably at least a handful of professors in the environmental science space. And we're also growing our environmental capability in other units. So in earth sciences, in biology, in chemistry, and so on. And so this is an area that we see as growth. Carleton's new strategic plan has a strong emphasis on sustainability in the environment. And we're taking advantage of that to make sure that we are able to deliver on that. It's well known that there are many problems in the world, and we want to make sure our students are ready to tackle them. And I think that would be the other thing I would say. We recognize that science can't do it alone. And so whether it's the outreach that you'll be exposed to in earth sciences, or the interaction with stakeholders in environmental science, or the interaction with policymakers in ISAP, these are things that don't happen. A lot of schools and programs still focus on just the science. And there's a lot of people that get the science, but there's many fewer students that graduate with all of those other kinds of things. And I think Brian's just hit on it well. We pride ourselves on experiential learning, making sure that it's not just what you get out of a textbook, that you've seen it in the real world, that you've touched it, that you've smelled it. And been able to engage in real projects. And one other thing that I want to touch on is just even how we go about our hiring at Carleton. There's a lot of schools that focus on the research, And there's a lot of smaller schools that focus on the teaching. We value both of those at Carleton, and we hire people that are excellent at research and excellent in the classroom. And that's really unique because from my perspective, it should be the norm because they really support each other. When I do research and can bring that into the classroom, that informs what we do there. But then I can take the students from the classroom and bring them to work in our lab and take them to our field sites and bring more realistic opportunities for our students. And that happens across the board: earth sciences, environmental sciences, ISAP, and other programs in the sciences at Carleton. Any other questions for any of us? Any questions for earth sciences, environmental sciences, ISAP? Just having another quick look here in the chat. So
if you don't mind,
there is a question by Avery, I believe.
I'm not.
She asks, are there co-op opportunities offered through the ENSC program?
Yes, all three of the programs you heard about today, earth sciences, environmental sciences, and ISAP, all have really good co-op programs. And because we're located in Ottawa, and not all, I should be clear, not all of our co-op placements are in Ottawa, but because of there's so many government agencies that are headquartered here, that creates opportunities for our students. So rarely, there's other schools that have really big co-op programs, but guess what? You're going to be selling vacuum cleaners, or you're going to be a mascot at Canada's Wonderland in your first few co-op terms, which is not exactly the best way to obtain the most relevant skills for what you're doing. The students that are in our programs and take co-op, they have positions that are directly in line with their interests and their training goals. So I'm going to wrap up. Brian, any last words you'd like to share?
Yeah, I'd just like to make the comment that I think applies both to earth sciences and environmental sciences. Most of you in high school have taken biology, chemistry, physics, math, computer science. And I think what Steve and I would probably like to emphasize is that if you like those sciences, then there's room for you in earth sciences and environmental sciences, particularly with hands-on applications to address these sustainable development goals, which are some things that can really be well addressed through both of our programs. And so therefore, that's one of the earth sciences and environmental sciences advantages, is that we still do biology, chemistry, physics, math, computer science, but we do it in a very applied way. And there's plenty of job opportunities at the end of it that I don't think exist as well for other pure sciences like chemistry and biology. So that's a pitch for both of our programs.
And I do just want to say quickly on that topic of jobs, I know, personally from the earth science department, there's a lot of interesting jobs that you can get after you graduate that you might not have thought about. For instance, I know people who have, searched for water in places undergoing severe droughts. There's people in our department who are mapping the surface of Venus. It's just a wide range of topics and ideas and jobs that you don't realize are out there. And the same goes for environmental sciences.
Cool. Well, I think leaving the last word to Caitlin, one of our undergrad students, is perfect. So thanks a bunch, Caitlin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been great to see so many of you in this session this morning. Thank you to Brian, Stephen, and Caitlin for sharing your expertise with our students this morning. Let this really just be the start of your experience at our fall virtual open house. You can watch this video back later today if you'd like to revisit some of the topics that we covered, chat with our academic departments under the academics tab, or our student services under services. So if you have any questions that come to you after we close this out today, know that the conversation is far from over. We'll be online until 3:30 today answering different questions about admissions, co-op, student experience, and more. So we really look forward to continuing the conversation with you and seeing you at CU next fall. Have a great day, everyone.
Great. Take it easy.